So good morning, everyone. It's early afternoon on a cool, where are we? August winter day on the Sunshine Coast, Queensland, Australia. And I'm here today with Leonie Shanahan, a second-time author. We're just coming here to have a chat about her new book, which I think is really going to help a lot of Lyme patients and guide their journey. And I'm quite aware that you may be connected to the Lyme Disease Association or not, but you may not have been aware of Leonie Shanahan. Now, Leonie worked hard to make a name for herself in the horticulture industry. She pioneered the Edible School Gardens program on the Sunshine Coast, published an educational book and DVD, and became known as an organic gardening expert. She won awards, hung out with the likes of Costa Georgiadis and Jerry Colby Williams, and was a popular speaker at regional and national events. Leonie was strong, busy, and successful. She was also lively, dynamic, and enjoyed the satisfaction of contributing something important to the world. Being in midlife, Leonie had left an unhappy marriage and was forging her own independent life. She loved creating her 2-acre edible Garden of Eden and wildlife habitat paradise, complete with chooks, guinea pigs, and a canoeable lake out the back. She was dedicated mom to 2 gorgeous teenage daughters and a small dog named Potsy. But she'd been feeling tired for quite some time. Life kept speeding by, but the fatigue didn't show any sign of abating. Eventually, it took everything she had just to make it through to the end of each day. Other symptoms started to manifest, and to cut a long story short, Leonie was diagnosed with Lyme disease. After processing the devastation of the diagnosis, gaining an understanding of what it means to have Lyme in this country, Leonie made a decision she was going to get better. And she could make some sense of her suffering by helping others whose lives were twisted by Lyme. So now we're here to talk about, as I mentioned, her latest project, which is a Lyme disease book called Lyme Disease Sucks. I just love that name, Leonie.
I think it's appropriate, isn't it?
It's absolutely appropriate. So tell us a little bit more about your journey to the diagnosis. Was that easy? I mean, I know in Australia it's just next to impossible, but what was your journey like?
No, it was definitely difficult, and it took a couple of years to get to that stage. So what initially happened was I had a breakdown at a horticultural event. So this was, it was me ignoring all the signs that I was getting sick, but it was like, I'm a single mother, I have to keep going, So of course, after a public breakdown, I went to see a doctor, and she just described me with antidepressants. And a lot of us would be very familiar that seems to be the solution, but it's not. And even though I didn't know much about antidepressants, I just knew that wasn't right, and I refused to take them. I had to say I would take them, so she'd let me out of the office. And from there, I just spent 2 years trying to find a holistic doctor, because I just knew there was something else going on. So I was lucky enough to find one. Actually, I found her. It took about 6 months to find her. And then I was with her for about 2 years before she came up with that diagnosis. Now, a few months, probably 6 months before that happened, I started to see a kinesiologist, and he was a naturopath as well. And he said to me one day, there's got to be something else besides chronic fatigue, because you're getting worse and worse, and you are trying everything to get well. And so he did some testing on me just in his office, and he said, you've got Lyme disease. And I love the ignorance of not knowing what Lyme disease is. I go, what's that? Oh, it's the only time I would just go, what's that? So even though my doctor knew the kinesiologist, she wouldn't believe him. So it was about roughly 6 months down the track. And I had an emergency appointment with the doctor because I was so sick, and I was meant to go to a friend's funeral that day, not related to Lyme. And then she asked me some more questions. She goes, I think you've got Lyme disease. And it's just like, what have we been trying to tell you? And so when she got out the symptoms list, it's just like, I just ticked off so many of the boxes. And so at this stage, I had no money left, and my sister and her husband paid for my blood to go to America to get tested over there. And then that came back confirming that I had Borrelia and Babesia, and you know, a few other little tricks. This first doctor had, actually at that stage, we were able to test for rickettsia in Geelong, and that did come back saying I had 5 different types of rickettsia. So yeah, so that was the start of the journey. So when I write in the book, it starts with when I get my blood results test back from America. That's where the starting point.
That's just, you know, it's a hard journey, but such a common journey, isn't it? Was that tick bite on the Sunshine Coast, Leonie?
Yes, I got that near Caboolture, and I'd actually got that. My youngest daughter's 23 now, so I'd got it 22 years ago when she was 1. And I'd actually, I didn't react to it at the time. I did a little bit, but I was able to keep going, and all the tiredness was put down to the fact that I was a mother, I had 2 children, and yes, but it wasn't until I went through that stress of the divorce that my body went, finally, we got her.
Yeah. That's such a common story. You know, with the situation in Australia, it's really clear that there's abundant epidemiological evidence like this, where people can trace it back to a tick bite and then just see the dominoes fall over time, some quickly and some, you know, I imagine depending on the fortitude of their immune system and their constitution, it happens faster for some than others. But definitely that's a really common story. And I'm sorry that you've been through that.
Yeah, and not being believed, and not knowing what was wrong with you, and just going from someone who was really active to just bang. It just, yeah, as people will be very familiar that are in that Lyme world.
And it's really interesting. Just coincidentally, we live in the same area, only recently met.
Yeah.
And that's a very parallel journey, you know, a little bit like longer time for me, but very, you know, I had tick bite on the Sunshine Coast, eventually diagnosed with 5 strains of rickettsia, babesia, bartonella, and borrelia. And, you know, these tick, and I absolutely trace it back to a tick bite, a bullseye rash, a strange flu, and never recovering. And same journey, 17 doctors all giving the same kind of thing, antidepressants, all kinds of things. So yeah, it's a really crystal clear epidemiological problem and picture in Australia. So, you know, one of the things that we, you know, I know you're passionate about is giving hope to patients. So I'm sure there'll be a gazillion versions of that story out there and people looking for answers. So, you know, in your journey, what worked for you as far as getting to the level of recovery that you are now? Like, obviously a good quality of life, still having to be careful, but what kind of things worked for you?
Absolutely. And you know, what you see today is not what I was when I had Lyme. I, you know, spent most of my time in bed, so much pain, and you know, the list goes on. So but my kinesiologist was my absolute rock. You know, he was a naturopath as well, but just to get through all that psychological stuff, which is just massive, and get rid of there's a saying, you have to feel to heal. You have to get all that trauma out of your body from past events that's there that can often lead to the Lyme being active. So I went to lots of psychologists, but I found pretty much all of them were no good. So the kinesiologist was really good. This is not actually treatment, but this is so important. You need to have a core support group. So I had 5 friends that just would keep an eye on me. And often you can't think when you're so sick. So they could sort of go, you know, that practitioner is not actually helping you. And the Lyme Zoom lunch is really important for that. The other thing that's really, I still rely on all the time at the moment is the bioresonance therapy. And there's different versions of it. It's biogenetics, biofeedback. And what that does is it's tapping, so it's a computer system. So if you went to someone, you have to make sure they got the Lyme programs on it and the mold programs as well. And it tunes in to see where your body is out of balance and what is stressing you most at this time. So it may not even be Lyme. It might be, for example, parasites or heavy metals. So we work on what is your body not coping with the most. And that gives me an idea of how well I'm doing, what's leaving, what I'm now in control of. And it's not only is it testing you to see, the idea is it's healing, it's making your body stronger. So they're not making claims that they're going to heal Lyme, and they're making your body become stronger. So, and while the computer's going through the energy of your body, the energetics of your body, it's tapping into, it's treating you as well. Holistic doctor, if you've got one, is really important because you do need that support with supplements, knowing what are the right supplements for you. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy is really good. Get that oxygen into your body. Ozone, I have my own ozone kit at home. And of course, all the detox things. You'll see a funny story about coffee enemas in the book. I'm not great at them, but they're really good for you to do. Colonics, I call that like a luxury. Just lie back and let it be done for you. Infrared sauna, ionic foot bar. So they're all, because you're killing off the Lyme and the parasites, so you need to get them out. And if infrared nutrients, I've just in the last 6 months just got onto the infrared nutrients, and that gave me a big boost as well. So there's lots of different things, and because Lyme is so multi-layered, you have to come at it at multi-layered as well. Yeah, and the really important to tune into your body. And I know it's really hard when you're tired and your brain hasn't got the energy to think, but try and tune into, is this really helping my body? Because not everything, what works for me may not work for you, but some of the pieces will, but not all of them probably will. So, yeah.
That's an excellent point, and because really I've been helping people. Had Lyme since 2002, so that's 19 years. And I've been helping people with Lyme for 10 years now. And what I can solidly say that there's no one journey to help every Lyme patient. So these are just some flags in the road that you can head for, some ideas. And it really is a trial and error kind of situation, although there's foundational principles. The other thing I'd like to say, if you're brand new to integrative medicine, some of these terms might sound unfamiliar to you. As a former, my background is I was a clinical nurse specialist in critical care. I had a huge learning curve to understand. And interestingly, I'd left nursing because I started to know that it was only part of the story. So I already had one foot outside seeking for natural medicine. But yeah, it's quite a learning curve with some of the technologies that Leonie's just discussed. I've explored a lot of them as well, but we need to embrace the integrative approach with both Western medicine and natural medicine together. It's actually, I don't think there's any way around Lyme without doing that. And so do you have any pointers for you? Again, some may work for some people. What didn't work for you?
Initially, I just went into panic. And so I just went one appointment after another. And because I thought that was a good idea. But that doesn't work. That actually put more stress on my body than helping. So learning to take some deep breaths and just pace your appointments. There was a treatment I did. I went to Brisbane to do it. This doctor has been struck off since then. It was called the HOCAT. So it's a hypothermia. But I'd heard lots of stories how good this was and that was going to kill it all off. And I was really excited about it. But they had it on too high. And so after my second appointment, I was just in so much pain. And thankfully, I went to my bioresonance person because I just said, I'm so sick. And she just warned me, said, this doctor's renowned for pushing people to the edge. Just be very careful. And thankfully, I decided to stop the treatment. So it's, it works for some people, for not to others. So once again, it's listening to your body. A lot of the psychologists didn't work. They actually left there feeling worse rather than better. And of course, the doctors with the antidepressants, if they're trying to, if you've got chronic fatigue and just a bit of crying, antidepressants aren't the solutions. Like, why are you crying? Let's talk it out. Let's get it out. Let's find solutions, not in a tablet. So, yeah, they're really, I haven't got a lot of what didn't work, but they were the main ones. And and just they're not treatments, but the thing is, who is around you that's not supporting you? Who's actually, you have to start to detox family and friends. That's the truth, because the way I look at it, it hurts so deeply at the time when you so desperately need people to help you and they're not there for you. You have to let them go and just trust that now has allowed a gap for new people to come in. And I now found then these amazing people came in that will help me, some spiritual people and stuff like that, that I now have the time for. So that's a really hard one when you most need people, but I guess that's testing the grounds of who are your friends, who really are those, heart friends. So
Absolutely, I can identify with that one as well. And the next question I wanted to know, because this is something that's often on my mind, is where you're at now. If you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
I wouldn't send my blood to America. That could have paid for a lot of treatments. And once again, the first thing, and I didn't know about it at the time, and that's why my book's good, because this is the latest things. I would definitely be looking for the bioresonance. And I've been not coaching, but sort of coaching some, not with the official coaching cap yet, but advising some people in Singapore and some other places about, they want the doctors all over the world. And I said, no, just get a bioresonance person. I really just so strongly believe in bioresonance. As I mentioned before, that tapping into your gut feeling, not just keep forking out money because someone said to go to this person. The others I sort of mentioned before, and just you really have to sort out this. You've got to have psychological support, because it's just, you're not getting the support from the government, you're not getting support from the medical system. You've got to find some means of support. It's just so important. Support and to understand what you're going through is real, and it's really, really, really tough. And also that mental support, because there's a lot of grieving with Lyme, because you lose so much. For me, I lost my business, the work I loved. I lost my home, I lost friends. I really lost my ability to be a mother in a lot of ways. So there was so many losses. So you've got to have those outlets to express those things and not hang on to them. And and apparently there's lessons for everyone, pretty hard ones. But
Lessons in letting go. I can sadly identify with those as well.
And
so,
also, sorry, just one last thing,
go ahead.
to really tap into the power of your mind, and and just try it. And it's hard when I understand it's hard when you're sick, but just try and keep some positive thoughts turning over somehow. Keep little signs up, and even though you might not believe them, just say them, and one day they might get there. So
that is really good advice, Leonie. And what came about for you to vision up to write a book about this?
When I first got the results back from America, from the doctor, I was just shattered, because suddenly I'd had months in between the doctor agreeing that I had Lyme and actually getting the test back. So they say knowledge is power, but at that stage I felt it was devastating. And so I was just in the fetal position in bed, just going, how am I going to do this? How am I going to look after my daughter? And it was just, so I did that for a few days, and then a little voice in my head said, you're good at projects, make this a project. So, sorry, I'm just back there.
It's okay.
So, and that's what I did. I thought, okay, Edible School Gardens was new when I first did it, and that was about teaching children all about nutrition and growing the healthiest plants possible to make children healthy. And I thought, you built that up from nothing, and so make this your new purpose. Get out there. There's other countries in the world that are successfully treating Lyme. Just tap into them. Just get out there and network. This is what you do. And so that got me out of bed, and I just went, I'm going to find a way how to do this. And it was really important for me to have that purpose, because I've always been purpose driven. So so that I'd already kept diaries anyway, and I highly recommend that people do keep a diary, just to really let go of what is in your heart, in your mind, in your anger, in your occasionally those happy. You do have some happy days. you meet other Lyme people, to express them, because when you're having those really tough days, you need to look back at those diaries and go, I am making progress. So yeah, I just kept a record of everything. And then when I got to the stage where I thought I was near the end, I started to write, and that actually start to write the book. And that was huge amount of grieving, because I'd forgotten just how sick I had been. And I'm just crying for months. I just cried as I read every single diary. I just kept shaking my head, and I'd lived it and going, I don't know how I got through this. How the hell did I get through it? So what was the question? I know it was about what I got just so involved with writing the book.
Yeah, that journey, it's exactly what it's about. You're in it right now, the journey of writing the book.
Yeah. And I just, because I'm a personality, which actually a lot of Lyme people are, we're very determined and we're very focused. And so I was trying lots of things, and I thought, and I spent a lot more money than you need to in my desperation. And I thought, if I get this in a book, then people can see what I went through, what worked, what all the dramas I went through as well. I can't believe how many dramas I went through, and how I did come out at the end of it. And that's I wanted to give the hope and the courage, like, you can do this. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. It's really, really, really difficult, especially when you haven't got the means that should support you aren't there to support you. But you can get there. You can get there. And so the book it wasn't just to help Lyme people. We're giving you tools in a massive toolbox. And a lot of things you can do at home as well. Not everything is about paying. So there's a lot of processes and routines. And for example, the morning routine is actually on my website, Leonie Shanahan. You can see me doing a video of things you should do in the morning. If you've got that energy, I understand. Sometimes just getting out of bed is, that's a day's energy gone. But I keep getting sidetracked.
That's okay. What the purpose of writing your book?
Oh, and the other one was to write the book so people will read it and go, wow, I didn't know Lyme people had all this wrong with them, or this is the hardship they go through. So I wanted for people to understand, and that a Lyme person that has family members and friends, to let them read the book and go, this is actually my life. I might look okay, but I'm actually not. And this is what I'm dealing with. So it's to broaden that understanding, and, just hope that one day that a politician might pick it up, or someone with influence that actually might pick it up and go, oh, we should put some funding towards this. So it's for lots of reasons I've written it, and just to get the word out there.
Yeah, that raw exposure of the truth, right? Of the reality of living day to day with Lyme disease, Lyme and associated diseases in Australia it's pretty tough going. And Leonie,
and
go ahead.
Like when I was reading it, when I'm ready to give the tick to print it, I just went, some of the things I've talked about in here, there's no way I'll be sitting in a cafe talking to a friend going, oh, you never believe what just happened to me. And just really these things are so private, but it's like, I have to let people know what we go through. And a lot of it is very unpleasant and not cafe conversation, but that's our reality. That's what goes through. And I got through those things, and I didn't think I would, but I did.
Raw and real.
Raw, very raw and real.
And Leonie, is there anything I didn't mention that you'd like to highlight, and what would you like to leave people with from your heart today?
It's the reason I wrote the book is to let you know that you can get better. It's not easy, but you can get better, and you won't be the same person at the other end of it, but you actually can come out a better person. And I actually want to read 2 quotes from my book to finish off, because I think they're good. One's from Anthony Williams, medical medium, and one's from Leonie Shanahan. So whenever I'd listen to Anthony in a podcast, and he would always have this saying at the end of it, and I'd always cry at the end because I thought he was talking to me. Because I lived alone initially with my daughter, then she went off to uni. So he would say, "It's not your fault. This isn't karma, and you deserve to be well. You're so loved and needed by your family, a friend, and a community. And we want you to be the healthiest, the most loving, the happiest version of yourself." And I just,
Wow, I got goosebumps head to toe on that one.
yeah, it always just, it helped me. And then my ending quote is, "Your body is designed to heal. You deserve to have a loving, healthy, full life. You are worthy. You are stronger than you think. Believe in yourself."
Oh, that's awesome, Leonie. Just hold the book up so that people watching today can just check it out.
Oh, I haven't got my camera on.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, no, that's perfect. Really clear. And Leonie, if they'd like to get a copy, where would they go?
And they can either go to my website, leonieshanahan.com.au, and there is, that's my brand new website. So there's lots of information on there also about sleep. Otherwise, you can get it online or go to your, if you can, local bookstore and ask for them to order it in for you, or actually library, if that's a possibility. But it's available online through all those online, like Booktopia and all that. So yeah, widely available. And I kept it as cheap as possible because I want everyone to be able to access it. Oh, and it's available on Kindle. Yeah, $7.95.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great, Leonie. So thank you very much for being here today. I know that will make a difference for the exact right people when they hear it.
And thanks for all the work you do, Sharon. You are amazing. Thanks,
well,
everyone.
we have to do something, don't we?
Oh, we do. We do.
Well, when you've lost everything, I'm in the same boat, there's so many losses. I'm much happier contributing. And so it's better just to focus forward, do the best you can with the cards you've been served at the moment and see if we can help a few people out there.
That's right. Create a better world.
Absolutely.
Thank you.